Hey, real quick, I just want to make sure these shoutouts got into this video. So shoutouts to First Hack Games for hosting this event and running it. Went super smooth. All 4 rounds I felt like went really well. Also shoutouts to DBS Decks and Mark Hill for streaming it, but also letting me commentate along with Richard Zapp and Eric. It was a lot of fun, and I'm happy I got that opportunity. And for definitely also making sure that I get all these deck lists to present you guys. So thanks for all that, and let's get into it. Hey everyone, Egman here with another video, and today we've got the top 8 deck lists from the Premier TO Cup Finals that happened this past weekend. So this is a tournament that's kind of like the invitational finals for the webcam events that was happening back in September. And if you guys want to get in on these tournaments, these are also happening this month and next month in November, with the finals on December 5th. So a lot of that, and also there's a bunch of reveals for stuff you get for just entering these tournaments, including a lot of tokens and also some cool prize cards. So definitely look out for those. Definitely worth it in my mind. I've signed up for them as well, and it should be a good time. But if you guys do want to sign up for those tournaments, definitely check out the description below for the links for that. And then also this was streamed on DBS Decks. I believe they're going to put the videos back up, but also I was one of the commentators for that event too, so I know a little bit more than I usually do about these guys. And yeah, let's just jump in. This is a really weird tournament in the sense that it was only 38 players, but we were able to get one undefeated in only 4 rounds. And if you look at these rankings, so we have Ali Cardoza with 4-0, and then the top 4, the other 3 were Anthony Figueroa, Michael Carrick, and Nicholas Menard with a 3-0-1 record. So that's 3 wins and a tie. So there are 3 ties in the top 4, and then the undefeated, which is super crazy. And if you guys were watching the stream, the final, like table 1, where it had 2 of the undefeateds, we had Ali versus Michael Cooper, and so Michael Cooper lost. His only loss was at table 1 on the last round, and he got all the way bumped down to 6th place, which is crazy. And then similarly, also we had Nicholas Morris, who was playing on table 2. He was so going into the last round, we had Ali and Michael Cooper with the undefeateds on table 1, and then on table 2 we had Nicholas Morris and Nicholas Menard playing on table 2. Menard being tie undefeated, and then Nicholas Morris being undefeated outright, and so he lost against Menard, which meant that Ali was the only undefeated left. I hope that followed. It was weird. This should have been 5 rounds, but we were able to sneak it out with only 4. And I'm not even. I guess we're just looking at it. The top 8. There's no Go tanks, which is super crazy, saying that, last week at the PPG event we had 7 Go tanks in the top 16, so having none of those get to top 8 is crazy. We have Reboot Gohan taking 2 of the top 8. We've got 2 Invokers taking 2 of the top 8. We've got a Surge Cell. We've got a Starter Vegito. We've got a Super Saiyan 3 Reboot, and 1 Series 11 leader with the Series 11 Gogeta. So super weird that it went back to kind of more established deck types, and nothing's newer, right? And we'll look through these decks. A lot of these decks are of older cards, and I'm not sure if this is also the Series 11 was legal for this, but I also would assume that this is only technically the 2nd week that Series 11 is like in the market. So I wonder if a lot of these people just decide, I don't want to buy cards or something or anything like that, and they just went back to their old cards. And but either way, it definitely worked with. And if we look down here on the top 38, so there's 38 people who got into this. And also one more thing, if you want this whole spreadsheet, it's going to be in the description below as well. I have all the deck lists for top 8 here, which we'll also go over. But yeah, so we've got 7 Go tanks leader. Another we got Invoker with 6, Vegix with 5. None of those made it, and like those make up about almost half of the deck list that got in there, and only 2 of the Invoker players actually got into the top 8, which is crazy stat wise. And then we also pretty much a bunch of other things. So Red Gogeta there are 3 of, Super Saiyan 3 Reboot there are 2 and 1 made it. 2 Bulma, they didn't make it. Both Reboot Gohans made it. Sinstron neither made it. 1 of the Surge Cell, all of the blue Vegetos, Stardeck Cell, Stardeck Frieza didn't make it. And then Super Saiyan 4 Goku, Blue Baby, Vegeta and Babidi, and then Cooler, none of these made it too. So also, I guess real quick to note that these were a best of 3, and this was, I believe it was 80 minutes for time, and then after that was time in the round. So they tried to stretch it out for that, but just looking at how many ties there are, I'm not sure if this was the right format for. I don't know if webcam's good for best of 3. It's still a little bit clunkier, and I think it still may take up a little bit more time. And so, as if they had like 90 minutes to do a best of three over webcam, I think it'd be easier. But if you're playing a deck that doesn't win 2-0 or is more control based, that you might only get like one game with it, which is kind of scary to think about. So I think that's part of the reason there are so many ties, just because I think the timing was still a little bit tight for webcams. This is one of the first best of three webcam events that I've seen for this game too, so I could totally understand that we'd need some adjustment based off this to see what the right timing is. Any of the qualifying events were all best of one, which I think totally makes sense, especially since we have so many people on these events, like 64 plus. So I think that helps out when we're just trying to weed down to top 16s. But if we have like 38 players, I think it makes sense to be best of three, but maybe add another 10 or 15 minutes to time limit, just so there's not as many ties. Because if there's less ties, then we'd have more undefeateds, and we'd probably get to around 5 for this event too. But that's that. Did I say what won? Reboot Gohan won, which is like my least favorite deck. But no shade to people playing it. But like, man, I don't like it. But we're gonna look at it. We're gonna look at all the lists, and let's just jump on into those now. So first place we've got Ali. With a pretty standard build of Sun Gohan. So the finals was him against Michael Cooper, and definitely an interesting match to watch and commentate. I did commentate their match. Michael Cooper, it went to game 3, which doesn't matter for time on these guys because the match is finished in like 20-25 minutes. But it's if you look at these two decks, they're pretty similar, except for I'd say like looking at Michael's list, it's just 4 of everything and then 2 of dormant potential, which is I think is really funny to see, but definitely very strong. He went first game 1, and then he kind of got stuck at like a weird life amount, and then he couldn't awaken, and then Ali was just able to beat him over. Game 2, he was able to not have that awkward life and then hit in. And then I think Michael just kind of drew bricks game 3. Just it didn't look like he was really doing anything, and Ali could just adjust to and like just play his own game, that kind of thing. So very very weird. It wasn't just like aggro fest outright, and there's definitely a lot of interesting decisions for it. So some extra cards that Ali ran. He ran the Secret Rare in the main, where Michael put it in the side. Looking at Self-Awakeners, so they both run, 16, so 4 of the Doria, 4 Crit Gohan, 4 Zarbuto, and then 4 of the Frieza, and then Michael's the same of 16 of those. So like it's really, you just have to find 2 to be able to awaken, which makes it really easy. And Imperial Emperor Frieza really helps going first as well. So there's that. Also, an interesting thing that Ali did on games 1 and 2 is that on his first turn, he went second both. He didn't swing with his leader, which I think helped a lot, where he didn't have to self-awaken himself or his opponent. So he wasn't really on a clock for resources or anything like that. And so being able to take that back foot for it, I think helped a lot. But yeah, pretty standard list. I don't think, is there any Series 11 cards in these decks? I don't think there are. I think they're all draft box 5 capped, or sorry, set 10 capped for these. But still very strong. And I think the big thing for these as well is that a lot of people, including myself, wrote these off as best of 1 only decks, where when they would face a best of 3, they'd have a harder time. But definitely not the case, especially since the 2 undefeated ones found themselves both at the finals and on table 1. So definitely good decks, and also great players who played them as well. They had to navigate a lot of tricky situations, and there is a lot of RNG in the point of just like, oh, does my opponent have a negate? No, cool, I'm probably winning this turn. But there's also a lot of skill to make sure you do your sequences and stuff as well. So I think this is a good deck, and we're going to move on to Anthony Figueroa's. This is the second place by point standards. I also just want to say once again, Michael Cooper, even though he got 6th place, he did I think these results, outside of Ali playing first, I think any of these people could be like 2nd place for sure. Like just the way that the rankings showed up is kind of weird. So it's skewed in that way. All these people are only X1 or X01, which is crazy for a top 8 with as many people as we had. But we're going to this one. This is a blue Vegito deck, and I think this is something that I've messed with a lot. I super like this baby Unison with the baby Golden Ape. I think it's a fantastic way to just end the game, especially since you can just hard cast this baby on turn 5, get its -5 effect, and then you can just have this the other baby in hand, which with the -5 effect with the baby, it gives your leader plus 15k and gives it the ability to if you want to play any counter plays, you just have to discard from your hand the just one card, and you can play it for free. So you can play the baby for free, and it has a counter, which means that you can make sure you get into a battle phase with your leader as well, which means they can't like blow up your leader or anything like that. So just very powerful ways to end the game, especially like the leader itself can give triple strike to any of your your unisons as well. So like that's no slouch either. Like just this card just makes a lot of value. It's kind of plays mid-range, and then it has a lot of really powerful ways to get a double or triple strike to just kind of sit there and finish the game for you. So a lot of the new cards are the baby cards I was talking about. Power of Hope is a really good card for this as well. We already know that Dr. Rhoda is probably the best thing to play turn 1, but turn 2, just a good replacement for that. So you're pretty much going to guarantee that you're going to get one of these two out on turn 1 to help you just awaken immediately, which helps out a lot. Being able to find 4 of these Super Saiyan Trunks is super nice. He also is running blue-yellow, so he's able to play the Son Goku and hit for free with Zamasu. He's also running some of these. He's running 4 of these big bad apes too. So just being able to rival with this and any of your blue cards are also fine. And then lastly, the secret rare, which just can buy him a turn for free, which is nuts. This is just like a way to say, okay, well, I need to get to turn 5 and it's turn 4. I have this in my hand, so I guess I'm going to turn 5. Which is, I think, just very powerful in its own right and everything. And also, this Secret Identity Mass Saiyan, I think is good for clearing up blockers, because, you get around negates with this combo with the babies, and so being able to use Mass Saiyan to, kind of clean up any blockers that could be in your way for victory can help out as well. Side deck, nothing too special, pretty standard, I'd say. Borgos, Mafuba, Dark Power, Black Mass Saiyan. Haru is a nice pick as well. And shout outs to Anthony for going 301. Next up, we've got 2 of our invokers. We've got Michael Carrick and also George. Michael Carrick went 301, and then George went 3-1. Both these decks, I think they're pretty similar. I know George has been playing this list forever, and it's been doing super well. Obviously, he's been placing a lot, and also Michael Carrick's list very very similar. I talk about Invoker too. Invoker in the same way for Reboot Gohan is that it's such an established list. There's a lot of good cards for it, and it really rewards the pilot for knowing how to adapt to it. And these just had so many good ways to adapt to the meta that even though we've got new threats, you still have options from cards that were printed back in February. So I don't think this deck is bad. I think this deck is going to be good for a while, unless something changes. And it's just always going to be around until something like pushes it out. I like there's like a better leader for this archetype, which unless they make another Surge one, I don't think it will be beat. So Invoker I think is good. It's really specific to how you play the game, and I think the only way you can really push this out is if it like card destruction becomes super duper prevalent, because I think this is like the only super duper hard matchup for the deck. But I don't have really too much to say. I think you've seen a bunch of Invoker lists, and I don't think the card list counts as much as the pilot for most of this. Maybe like 1 or 2 card changes, but I think like the deck really does build itself. So if you need an Invoker list, you probably have at least 45 cards picked out already, and then you gotta pick the 5 that you really care about and matches your playstyle, to be honest. So that's those 2 decks. Shoutouts to Michael and George. And then we also have the only Series 11 leader, and this is Frisco Foz Red Gogeta for Series 11, because it kind of has the archetype from like Series 6. And to be honest, I don't know 100% how this deck plays. If Frisco makes a deck list or anything like that, make sure to watch it. I'll link it in the description or the Google Docs if it does pop up. But I mean, this is a pretty understood archetype in a lot of ways, where you can cheat out. You can use the extra card to get your boys, and you can use your boys to make your Gogetas, and just apply a lot of pressure. The Unison's good for getting like a lot of card value as well. Being able to play Yamcha the Merciless this is a really good Unison card that doesn't see any play just because Red doesn't see a lot of play. But Gotenks I think is a moderately good Unison. I think the only problem with it is it's hard to you have to make sure that you're union fusion, right? Yeah, with Gogeta. You have to make sure that you get that to get the +1. Otherwise, it just says +0, and then it's hard to get around. So, And then you go into the big boys, which means you can also go in this Broly. He's using the OG 8-drop Gogeta, which I think makes sense, but he's also running the 6-drop, the new one. I believe Broly just needs a red Saiyan with 35k power, so both these work for it, and I think that makes sense. Violent Rays is a good card. A lot of people are talking about being able to run Topo is good. He has 2 in the main with 2 that he can put in the side. Strategies of Universe 7 is an interesting choice as well, just being able to protect his cards. I'd say the only thing that I would say is that you want to play this Veku. Like if turn 2, if you're playing Gotenks, you want to play this Veku for sure. And so only running 4 might be the only thing that I think there's ways to switch out the card too. But there's other Vekus that you can play for free as well, I think. So those might be a little bit better to just add like 2 more for consistency. But if it's consistent, then I believe it. So sideboard, yeah, it's just more like kind of hate for like Yamcha, Topo. He's got 4 of the draft box red Goku. He's also got the Gotenks Unison. The other the other Gotenks. I guess I never really put it together. There's 2 red Gotenks, one, but the future one, and this one's probably just to make sure, like if you found it like it was too hard to keep this one alive and you wanted to have this one, this one's just better at like staying alive in a lot of ways. So if you want that more reassurance, I could see that as well. But very interesting deck. I'm happy red got some representation because it's been a while that red outside of Invoker's been seen. So that's nice. And obviously there's no Broly, and a lot of people can talk about that deck as well. Without any promos, were there even any? I don't think there's any red Broly players. I don't think so. Yeah, there were 0. So like all of them placed, I guess, if you want to look at it that way. But we'll definitely, I don't know. We'll see like this list and Broly get tinkered with some more. And if someone finds like the gas build, like a lot of people did with Gotenks last week, I think I could see a lot more of these topping as well. Next up, we've got Nicholas Morris's Super Saiyan 3 reboot. We've been seeing this guy perform pretty like 1 or 2 in the last couple weeks. I think we saw last week we had I can see his face. Oh, it's gonna come to me. I promise it will. Eric Goodwin. There it is. All right, that not even an edit. I figured it out right before I was going to edit it out. But we got Eric Goodwin, and I also know Ivo has been playing that as well, and he's been performing. So I think he's a super good leader, and when I'm happy just seeing that he gets played because he's really cool in a lot of ways, and the big benefit for him is just like being able to ramp and like being able to untap 3 energy every turn is fantastic. But I don't think that there was a card that could really capitalize off that 3 energy until the Son Gohan Babies minion came out, right? This is a perfect card to just say, oh, well, I've got 3 extra energy for free right now. I guess I'll just play Son Gohan, and then I've got a Topo effect going on, and then they can't really do anything about it. So I think that's great. It helps out the deck a lot, and just from there, you just ramp up. You apply a lot of pressure. You use your unisons of both the baby and also the new Super Saiyan 4 Goku, which is great for clearing boards. You got the baby unison, the baby going ape just to make sure you got like some guaranteed swings. So it's just like a lot of the things where it's like the blue Vegito deck that we saw, but it's more towards like the idea that you're going to have a lot more energy free and a lot more flexible in that kind of way. So you just really go off on that. So I like the deck. Definitely very cool and very pilot centric as well. And I think there's a lot of good stuff going for this one as well. Looking in the side, nothing like, I don't know, you can just play like so many good blue cards because you don't really care about energy costs as much as you do as any other decks. Because like on turn, like let's say on turn 4 you got 2 ramps, right? So you get to 6 energy on turn 4. And then you have technically 9 energy to work with, right? Because you've got your 6 energy, and then at the end of the turn you get 3 back, so you've got 9 energy to work with on turn 4. That's absurd, right? So there's just a bunch of good cards for there, like this Roshi is able to pop 2 things, and it's a dual attack crit, 25k. This Vegeta just lets you draw 4 cards, which is nuts. Baby, you're able to just play outright. You don't care if it's 5. Kefla, you're able to draw cards. Android 18, you're able to draw cards. And I don't know, just a lot of good stuff. So if you need more counterplay stuff, this stuff in the side, Barrier of Hope, being able to draw cards and remove stuff is good. I don't know. I don't think this deck's going away. I think people are going to tinker with this more. They're going to find a magic formula with it. I think this is close if it's not already the magic formula. He only has 1 loss, right? And I'll be interested to see how it goes in the next couple weeks. And then lastly, we gotta talk about this boy. I did a really on stream. I talked about this deck a lot, but I really do like this, and I don't know if it is inspired by some of the decks I've made, but I've definitely put together as a deck list like this Broly and this Demon God Deborah with the Xeno or the Dark Star Ball in Cell, just because it's a super good combo. Like the idea for it is turn 1 you play Demigra, and this is a 50 card list too, which you also look top 5 every turn. So finding that Demigra turn 1 super easy. You probably have a Frieza Charismatic Villain in your hand too. So you play this turn 1, you add a counter to it, and then you turn 2 you add a second counter to it. So going to turn 3 you have 3 counters on it. And even if they want to try to remove it, you take life because you really are fine with that. It helps you out a lot more. So they don't even want to swing into anything, but if they want to draw cards, they have to swing into one of your 2 things. So that just helps you out a lot. And then turn 3, you use the -3 effect to KO as much stuff as you can. Hopefully you have at least one thing to KO, because then you can play Surprise Attack Frieza, and then you can swing with 15k crit on Surprise Attack Frieza, and then you can use the ball to put Surprise Attack Frieza into Frieza Dark Infestation, and then from there you just swing and then you can pop it, and then also then you can play Broly again, and then this has you can do like a +2 to KO stuff. But what you really want to do is you pair it up with the Deborah, which means that it removes a counter from your Dark Broly and then adds a 1-star ball to your hand. And then when Broly loses a counter, your opponent has to discard a card. So it's a free discard, which is great for 0 energy, and you get to get your balls back for more Xeno plays. There's just like a lot of synergy. I've probably talked about this too much, but I think it's just very powerful. Paired up with Cell, which is able to just buy you extra turns and make it so your opponent has 2 or 3 cards in hand. It's just really good. It's super strong. I can see why it does well, and I'm happy that something I theory crafted, even if it didn't inspire him, did do a good job. So if I was to run in this event, this is probably similar to a list I would run as well. So that's the only thing I don't know is that how do you get Cell Xeno out? Do you just play 4 of your units, or 3 of your rivals? Because that's maybe you play Android 15. I don't know. I don't know. It makes sense to put this card in the deck because it kind of makes sense, but I don't see the super easy way to get to 12 besides having 3 4-drops, which is okay. You can play this 9-drop for free, but you have only this one Android 15 as a 3-drop and nothing else. And you can go 2 and 1. I don't know. I think if you run this, you have to have a slightly easier way to get a 3-drop that makes sense or something like that. But I don't know. I'd be interested to see how many times he was able to drop it this past weekend. But everything else I think makes sense. Rebrianne's perfect for turn 2. I'd almost run for this if you had it, just because turn 2 you almost always want to Rebrianne, and because you're not doing anything else turn 2, because turn 1 you play Demi, and I think it's a great deck. It's super solid, and I'm happy it performed. And side deck, nothing super crazy. Koizukai I think is a good choice. Artificial Impact's great. Protector of the People is good as well, being able to buy you more turns, even though you kind of have that effect. And I guess you can just Swift Massacre Freeze you can play for 4 outright, in case something that I saw on the last game he played, where the SS3 player just didn't play any cards to blow up, and so he couldn't do anything about it. He couldn't proc a Surprise Attack Frieza. But and I've played this deck before, and that was kind of an issue. But with Dark Power Broly with the Broly Unison, he just puts pressure on the board though, so you kind of get around that a little bit easier now. But that's definitely a way to get around your opponent not playing anything. But I like the list. I think it's good, and that's really all I have to talk about this tournament. I'm happy that they're doing online stuff. I think this is well run. I'd say the only thing is that either get rid of best of 3, or if you do have best of 3, add another 10 or 15 minutes. I think too many people ended up with ties, and I think that's more of just a webcam thing than necessarily people slow playing or any other things like that. And that's really all I gotta say. So thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know what you guys think of this video. Let me know what you think about this event. Make sure to sign up for the webcam tournaments next month and this month. They're super fun. Don't be intimidated by them. They're great, and you pretty much get your money back for just signing up with the prizing you get. So that's really it. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you all next time.